What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi closed 3.61% in the green, 1840 the low, 1929 the high. So welcome to the 19s, everyone. And on a side note, new 52-week high was hit today, so good momentum behind the scenes. At the same time, we also saw a lot of good volumes of 79.5 million shares being traded, 68.9 is the average. So SoFi kicked ass, took names today because even the broader market, it did go down. So Dow went down 0.94, S&P down 0.79, and NASDAQ went down 0.92. Normally, what would happen is NASDAQ would go down this amount, SoFi would be down 2 or 3%. So SoFi has a huge amount of momentum behind the scenes. A couple different attributing factors to that. Nothing official from SoFi though, no SEC filings, no press releases, no macro data points to really move SoFi. Rather, it was to start off, you had a very nice push higher. Most likely that was just institutions and market makers covering a lot of those options from last week. So that kick-started kind of some good momentum. As well, you did see Crossroads mention this. So Besant's comments on student loans potentially being one of the main reasons why also SoFi did move higher. So ultimately, this was all stated last Thursday, where he did mention the Treasury's hammer will be dropping next. And because they kind of mentioned right here, this was on the Charlie Kirk show, that his department would prioritize student loan debt next, noting that currently it lacks a solution, but that he disagreed with former President Joe Biden's approach to debt forgiveness. So that's a good thing. Very positive, in fact, for SoFi. So in reality, I do agree that could be one attributing factor why SoFi also did move higher. So nice catch by Crossroads. Aside from that, though, market was somewhat digesting Trump's big, beautiful bill. And so far, based on just the market, it was rather gray. A lot of kind of mixed feelings on it. Near the second half of the day, we did get a lot of updates, tariff updates. Some grayness. Of course, we already do know Trump and tariffs. It's always just a massive gray, just gong show of nobody really knows what's going on. So it looks as though a lot of countries received some letters. So for instance, Japan, Korea, and a couple others getting hit with 25. And I believe I saw a couple 10s, 20%. So a lot of countries are getting random kind of tariff percentages. But the deadline was pushed from July the 9th to now August the 1st. So again, giving a little bit more extra wiggle room and potential opportunity for more deals to come down the pipeline. So I feel like the market didn't really care too much about these updates because it was still trying to digest the big, beautiful bill. So let me know your thoughts on what really moved SoFi today. Besant's comments, what's your kind of general thoughts on all that? Shorts didn't really do all that much. They did return 180,000 shares, breaking the trend that they definitely have been on. 13.87% of the free float is being shorted. Works to be 150.47 million shares overall are being shorted. So one thing I do want to bring up, I know it doesn't seem like much, but cost to borrow minimum is 0.35. That's among the highest I've seen it in the last probably 6+ months. So that broker or brokers that do pay people to short SoFi have clearly stopped doing that, and maybe they just stopped altogether. I'm not really sure, but that's definitely something to take note of. Short score is a 55.35. So in reality, given how much SoFi has really rallied over the last month and a half, I wouldn't be surprised if shorts start to mitigate some risk and start to close out leading into their earnings, further kind of pushing SoFi a little bit higher as well. So something as well just to keep in mind. When it comes down to SoFi, you had 51 million in calls, 9.32 million in puts, and of all of this, 47% of all the options being done were bullish in nature. And like I've stated in the past, I have a lot of different YouTube channels, probably too many, and a lot of each have their own kind of topic and sector that I like to cover. But the consensus today was bearishness. So big institutions were relatively bearish, and that was resemblant from a lot of those stocks' options. SoFi, you see the complete opposite. So people still feel there's more upside with SoFi. Aside from that, just looking today, 60 million in total premiums, 29 the day prior, 29 the day prior from that. So you can see, look at this. This is absolutely kick-ass. The massive amount of green. So yeah, SoFi is kicking ass and taking names, like I said. Aside from that, the bulls feel that between 20 and 21 is realistic for this week. Bears are anticipating for it to kind of pull back a little bit to potentially between that, I'd say 17 and 1750. So where SoFi is, there's a little bit more downside, or I guess with it at 1920, it's kind of level ground right now. So all in all, just anticipate a lot of volatility, as I've kind of signaled in the past, with SoFi and just the broader market considered very overbought. You could see a lot of kind of consolidation surrounding grayness, but like I said, today SoFi kicked ass, took names and whatever else. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. This seemed to have been just the norm, and a lot of these were done after hours. So 10.1, 10.8, 10.8, 10.8, 4.29, like this is crazy right here. So most likely this is one of the bigger players in the market buying up SoFi. So potentially BlackRock, Vanguard, maybe State Street, one of those kind of big names buying up SoFi behind the scenes. But even extending that, 1.1, 1.6, 6.1, and this is something I've stated in the past. It's just now it's like, okay, cool, you see a $1 million transaction and it's like, okay, you just shrug your shoulders, like, okay, what's next? Like 2 years prior, that would have been like, hey, this is huge. An institution knows something. Now it's just like, okay, cool. Big money is just getting in, like as per usual. This one right here, 99.7 million. That is going to be some interesting. So once we see the new 13Fs, of course, right now we're officially in Q3. So to see a lot of these transactions, most likely we'll have to wait up until, I would assume, what was that, like October-ish. So we'll have to wait until October to find out which institutions have been increasing and doing, and kind of the culprit of all of these. But 1.07 million, even on the dark pool, a lot of big transactions, as you can kind of see right here. But with it closing at 1924, it closed right below this R2. So 1925 is going to be that key pivot. Just watch for that to be broken early on, and then most likely another new 52-week high being hit tomorrow. Tomorrow, though, going back over here, as far as data points, we do have one that I kind of signaled might impact SoFi, and that is the consumer credit change. So that's coming out at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. So 1925 and then 1985. Flip side, 1888 and then 1828 are going to be the following support levels. But moving on from here, though, there wasn't any new analyst ratings, no articles really talking about SoFi, so it was just merely piggybacking off of, I guess, the pre-existing momentum, institutional transactions, and potentially Becent as well. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Aside from that, though, there isn't really any negatives to bring up about SoFi's chart, other than, as I've mentioned, it just being overbought. So don't be surprised if you do see some extra volatility in the next couple trading days, but still, what SoFi has accomplished from bouncing off of the lows of like the $13 range, this is absolutely insane. So yeah, big things coming for SoFi. Anticipate more and more new 52-week highs as FOMO does still continue to set in. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Did you buy? Did you sell? Have you been dabbling with options? I've seen a lot of individuals saying, hey, I closed out my options. I don't know. What's your viewpoint? Do you think we are kind of at a peak? I know historically SoFi does now, given the new kind of scenario that we are in, likes to trade between that $13 and $17 range. As we see, it does sometimes break below that, and now it is breaking above that, but still, it's most of the time it does like to gravitate to kind of that set range. So what's your viewpoint? Do you think we're going to get dragged back down to that 17, or is now going to be 20 plus next? So What's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Despite the crazy volatility, a lot of the day trades I did put out were absolutely on point, so worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.